What's up everybody, welcome to the channel. This is Eric, and yes, today we are going to attempt to do an unboxing and first impression of this thing right here, the DJI RS3 Mini. Now this product I would say is specifically for people who like to travel light, specifically travelers or vloggers, because this product itself, very small and lightweight. Unboxing time. Very small package, and this is like a very Apple-like way of unboxing. There's this sticker right here. There we have some manuals. We have some quick start guide and the gimbal itself. There are two boxes. There's a USB-C cable, another USB-C cable. I assume one is for you to connect your camera to the gimbal system. This is to mount your camera to the gimbal, and this of course is a tripod. Let's look at the gimbal itself. Okay, first impression. This gimbal is very lightweight. In comparison with this, it's a very old gimbal, Zhiyun Crane M2. We're not doing a direct comparison here, but as you can see, it's about the same size as the OG. Let's set the tripod here. Now let's talk build quality. The first impression I get from this gimbal is that it's solid. It's a solid aluminum arm, and of course it's very nice to hold, and it also weighs at 795 grams with a payload of 2 kilograms, which we will later on try with the cameras that we have in the studio. Next, we shall talk about the feature of this gimbal. So this has a dual position quick release, which you can now shoot vertical videos with. Thank God. Okay, I have not tried to unlock this thing yet. So there's one over here and there's one over here. We shall now test it with some of the cameras that we have in the studio. It also has a 1.4-inch touchscreen, and then it also has a 10-hour battery. Of course, in reality, if you were to use this gimbal, you could probably minus off 20% off the 10-hour, which would probably last about 7.5 to 8 hours long if you aggressively use this gimbal. It also comes with Bluetooth connectivity, which is something that I really look forward to, because you no longer have to reach for the camera's physical button, in which you can just connect the Bluetooth connectivity, and then you can just roll it from this red button over here. So let's try to test this gimbal with some of the cameras that we have in the studio. So first we have this non-interchangeable lens Fujifilm X100V. And with this plate, DJI RS3 Mini's plate is designed specifically to have this thing right here so that it does not let your camera fall. But I realized that if your camera system is like the Fuji X100V, if you were to put this to your lens location, it will not fit. So you can only like do this backward. Okay, let me put this at the back. It should be good. So let's put this plate in, and it will lock. And then we shall stabilize it from the left to the right. So you see, this is not perfectly stabilized. Earlier when we were trying to set this thing up, notice that we have to update the firmware. So with this phone connected to the DJI app, this gimbal is now updating. So after a hefty amount of time, we have finally got the firmware update completed. As you can see, it is completed. This is for the mirrorless Fujifilm X100V, and it holds on pretty well. Next up, we'll try to stress this thing out. So once it's all calibrated, you can just press the power off once and it will go to sleep. And hence you can continue, like in our case, to try the other system out. It's definitely a no problem for Fujifilm X100V. And now we shall try with the GH5. GH5 with the kit lens 12 to 35. This is pretty much about a kilo. It into you hear the clicking sound. This is really putting the gimbal to a very strong test. So it's a bit front heavy, so we need to put this a bit further down. Okay, let's just go along with this and turn it on. And then there's a button here for you to auto calibrate this whole thing. Start calibration, and it will start wiggling. 60%, 80%, 100%. Wow. If this kind of heavy setup And the RS3 Mini is able to hold the whole setup. It is a very good gimbal. I mean, I've used the DJI Crane M3 and I don't think it's able to hold this weight as steady as the RS3 Mini is. Cool. So the other feature that I mostly love about this gimbal is the fact that it can now connect via Bluetooth from the gimbal to the camera. So we were talking about how this RS3 Mini has a Bluetooth connection, but it only works with lenses like these, specifically when they have optical zoom. So once you set this up and then you turn the gimbal on, in order to connect to the Bluetooth, you swipe it down and you go Bluetooth. So now it's stated that it's already connected to the camera itself. So usually when we use gimbal before the RS3 Mini, we would have to connect a cable up to the camera from the gimbal itself and to press record from the camera system. But now with Bluetooth connectivity, we can just use this on the gimbal itself to record. And you can see the camera is already recording. And once you press it again, it will stop recording. So if you were to swipe up from the gimbal system itself, you will see the dial function. So by default, it is now set for the jog dial to use as zoom function. And the rest of the function, ISO, aperture, and shutter speed, you're not able to set to use it like that with the jog dial because that is only doable with the cable, which they include in the box. Again, this function of zooming in using the jog dial is only applicable if you have auto zoom lenses like these. So you can shoot vertical content with this gimbal, and how do you do it is that, which I think it's a bit tedious because there's a lot of different steps which you need to do beforehand. You would have to push this down to push this thing out, and then you just have to also remove this part, which you're now left with this device. And then you have the camera and you put this plate underneath to slide it in. Once you slide it in, you lock it, attach it right here. And of course, you would have to rebalance it again, which in this case, we'll do like a rough balancing of this camera. And then it's a bit hit heavy. You gotta put this back to the back, lock everything, make sure it's all locked, and then you can turn it on. So now you have a gimbal to shoot vertical. Very steady. So with all the cameras that we have in the studio, we've tried balancing and using the gimbal with them. The DJI RS3 pretty much is able to withhold all the weights. Now this is possibly the best gimbal there is in the market that's able to withstand a hefty amount of 2 kg payloads, and also comes in a very lightweight and very small packaging, perfect for people who like to go do traveling, do vlogging, and I think with this size and its package, it's definitely worth buying. So from the launching price of Ringgit Malaysia 1,549, it feels a lot better than my Crane M3, and this is actually our first unboxing and first impression of the DJI RS Mini 3. So the DJI RS3 Mini has a couple of cons. For example, it's a built-in battery, which is different from its elder brothers, and you get to change batteries when you're out and about. If I were to compare this with the DJI Crane M3, that has an onboard lighting, which you're able to use during low light kind of shoot. I just love how it handles, and everything else about this gimbal is pretty much very, very sturdy. So in conclusion, this is probably the best light gimbal which you can find in the market, the DJI RS3 Mini. You can now do vertical content creating. This is a very competitive price range at Ringgit Malaysia 1,549. It's not bad of a gimbal for you to travel around with. So this video shall end now, and I hope that it's insightful enough and I'm able to share you the first impression and first look of the DJI RS3 Mini before you jump ship into getting one as your own. I'll see you guys in the next video. Goodbye.